Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I am your host, Jon Herold. Sorry for being a little late, guys. I was busy with my homework and then kind of realized, like, oh my gosh, my show is supposed to be starting right now. So probably can't guarantee it won't happen again. But how was everybody's weekend? How's everybody's Thanksgiving? What's up, John? Live in OKC. Good to see you. Heard your basketball team is doing pretty darn good. Hi, John. Co-founders are all present. Yeah, good to see all my co-founders here. It's okay. Rookie Irish just got here, so I guess I'm not too late. Yeah, it's been a weird weekend of news. Again, Mondays are kind of always the worst. I say this like every Monday, I feel like kind of slow. You know, it kind of takes a little bit for things to get rolling throughout the week, the real hot and heavy news stories. So I don't have a ton of stuff, but I think we'll have plenty to discuss either way. We'll see what happens. Janice 2022, good afternoon, all of you. Bravest, good to see you guys. We got the usuals in the chat, which is always nice. I'm gonna quick get a word from our sponsors, and then we'll start cracking away, see what's going on. Ramon 222, Trump is dominating. Silver is up up to $58 an ounce. I think I saw something on Twitter about the silver thing, and there's somebody that was trying to withdraw a bunch of silver, but they didn't have it on hand or something, and so there's like a short squeeze. Chris Jacquez, I hope something exciting happens this week. Some accountability. One can hope, but don't hold your breath on that. We've been waiting on that for quite some time. We need a co-founder badge. Going to work on the co-founder shirts. Speaking of that, I am aware of the latest round of attacks on Badlands. When it comes to that stuff, the legal stuff, I would just refer you to the video we put out about a month and a half ago. I think I sufficiently outlined the illogical nature, the dishonest nature, the immoral nature of the accusations against me. And so reading the complaint from somebody who is immoral, illogical, and dishonest doesn't really matter to me. So I don't really care. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, the case persists. But hopefully for not much longer. Anyway, we got a quick word from Rise Attire. Then we'll get Mo Benson, and we'll check in on Doge. Where's the money at? Where's the money at on whether or not there's gonna be an update?
Cheers, Badlanders. Ready to stuff your stockings with some new streetwear that'll really get the jimmies rustling? The holidays are here, and so is the new Rise Badlands collection, just in time to go walking in a winter wonderland. No matter where you're from, we're all Badlands natives with these brand new threads. Show up with the purtiest ugly sweater at the party with a Badlands Christmas collection, or make your favorite Badlander buddy feel all warm and fuzzy with a variety of plush and Sherpa blankets to choose from. Plus, you can stack the classics under the tree, deck the halls with Devolution, rock around the Christmas tree with Rushmore, or have yourself a merry little clown world. Everything we do is custom made from scratch by the elves at our East Peoria, Illinois facility, who are all legal U.S. citizens. But the process takes time, so don't wait. Grab your gear today at badlandsmedia.tv/rise. Under the tree and over the target.
I love that. Under the tree and over the target. That's a great tagline. I hope you trademark that because I'm stealing it. Phil Scarborough, good to see you, man. I know you're the one who you didn't. I feel like you didn't appreciate my criticism of Emerald Robinson and the contents of that thread. I will probably talk about it today, but I do know Ash and CanCon are trying to get Patrick Byrne on their show. I was going to reach out to Patrick Byrne to get him on this show, I'm going to wait and see how the interview with them goes, because I feel like they're going to do a pretty in-depth interview. And then if there's any burning questions I still have after the fact, which I'm sure there will be, then I'm going to follow up and try to get them onto this show as well. So that's still a storyline that's like really prevalent, and it's because of the drip, drip, drip nature of Emerald Robinson and how she's rolling the thread out over the course of like a week now or more. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And yeah, thank you guys for the support. It is weird how so many people continue to go after us. A lot of the same people, a lot of people who say they aren't going after us, but always resharing all that stuff. It's just so dumb. People need to get lives and let me get on with my life. Let's get one more word from Benson Honey Farms, because I want to support these people. She's back from the hospital. Your prayers, please keep them coming, but they have been working wonders, and it's a great business to support, great people to support. It's Benson Honey Farms. We're excited that they are back in the mix, where every jar is pure gold. Benson Honey is excited to be back on Badlands Media with their latest 2025 honey harvest straight from their farm in Nebraska. While they've been busy working to improve our state politics from the ground up, they never forgot the importance of sharing the best honey around. Did you know honey isn't just a sweet treat? It's nature's medicine, perfect for alleviating allergies, soothing upset stomachs, or as a delicious natural sweetener for baking. Benson Honey is never heated, ensuring you receive it in its pure, raw form, full of natural goodness. At Benson Honey Farms, quality and purity is top priority, and they're committed to providing the finest honey from hive to home. Join the supportive community and enjoy a special offer. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/honey and use promo code BADLANDS for 15% off your purchase. Benson Honey Farms, savor the authentic taste of Nebraska and support this America First business. Follow on Facebook at Benson Honey Farms. And yeah, also we're going to be doing some shakeups with our social media game here at Badlands. We're going to try to be posting more clips, so and like to Facebook and all the other places. So I appreciate if you guys help share that stuff when we do it. But we're having a meeting tomorrow, and we'll figure out the plan moving forward. Also, for you on YouTube, depending how the monetization decision goes with this, if they say we can't monetize the channel, we may end up switching back to the other one, even though this one has more followers now. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. But let's check in on Doge first. And guess what, guys? Even though Doge said they were going to get back to the regularly scheduled Friday updates, it has not been updated since October 4th. Still, we're almost at 2 months now. I know they do stuff on their social media, but it's a little ridiculous. Still nothing. Presidential website. All there is a presidential message on Mark Twain's 190th birthday. As a documents guy, this just gets real frustrating when there's no documents. I've been checking everywhere for documents. There's nothing on the NSPM website. Nothing new anyway. Still know what NSPM 6 is. And I guess you could theoretically say there may have been like NSPM 9 and 10 or whatever. They're classified. But until we get one that isn't classified, we won't know that. So there's nothing there. There's only really one interesting thing from the DoD. I pointed out last week, I think, that they put out this DoD internet content blocking instruction, which we can't even have access to. I think that was timed with the seditious 6 video, which a lot of those people are like doubling down like crazy, which I think is funny. This is fairly interesting, I guess. DoD operational energy and bulk fuel policy. But then I read through it, and it's really just the DoD is gonna, take charge and making sure they have bulk fuel, National Strategic Reserve, all that stuff. So yeah, documents lately is not up to snuff. It's real frustrating. And I don't know what to do about it. Not much I can do about it. Let's real quick. Phil Scarborough, did you ever get TikTok working? No, we didn't. But that's one of the ones we're going to be trying to roll up or ramp up, I should say, in the coming few weeks and months into the holidays. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't have any, false illusions that they're not going to like ban us and suppress us on these platforms. But that's why it's going to be up to you guys to help us out to get the word out there. But I don't know. We're going to fight against the algorithm, see what happens. Let's pick up where we left off on the Emerald Robinson thread, and I think Saturday we got to the Richard Grenell stuff. Maybe no. I don't know. She's starting to talk shit about Richard Grenell. Pardon my swear jar. Let's talk about another bad Trump pick. My sources tell me Grenell has been going to Brazil in secret. Why would Grenell meet with Lula's people at all? Did anyone in the White House approve it? Lula is allied with Maduro and the cartels. This seems like a total tangent to me. I know Grenell, he's like the special envoy for, I don't even remember what it's called, like special matters or whatever. And he negotiated the release of people from Venezuela. I've never seen anything from Grenell to cause me that was a red flag. I haven't seen any red flags from him. I like Grenell. I think back in the Power a long time ago, we talked about who would be good choices if it wasn't Pence for vice president. And I think Grenell was, I don't think I brought him up, but somebody brought him up. And I was like, yeah, oh, that's obvious. That's an obvious VP pick. Grenell's great. So it's weird that, unless there's something about him we don't know. Never met him personally, so it's possible. But again, no sauce for any of these accusations. There's a company called JBS owned by the Batista brothers in Brazil. My sources tell me the majority owners are actually the cartel. Not good guys. Somebody managed to get Josely Batista into Mar-a-Lago to meet Trump this month. My sources say Grenell arranged it. Per my sources, Grenell is also heavily involved in Serbia. He was the envoy to the Serbia-Kosovo conflict, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure. Double check that before I give you guys bad info. Yeah, special presidential envoy for Serbia and Kosovo peace negotiations, which he was pretty successful at, which the Biden administration kind of, dropped the ball on that a little bit. Right now, he's a special envoy for special missions. That's what it's called. I would love a title like that. Has he done anything recently? Live Nation? In February 2025, the German tabloid Bild reported that Grenell is conducting secret negotiations with Russia in Switzerland to reopen the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. That is interesting. Anyway, so she continues. Why is Grenell on the contact list of Yorktown Solutions, a lobbying firm which lists Serbia's Chamber of Commerce as a client? Serbia is where Dominion had its main office. And then remember the man who briefed Elon Musk and his team spent 4 years trying to alert Trump about the fraud before they finally got to Susie Wiles in 2024. Some people refused to meet at all. One of the guys who always refused to listen to any briefing was Richard Grenell. So let's summarize the last 40 tweets I've sent out. The Three Musketeers saved the 2024 election. Then Trump failed to hire the right people for the DOJ, and Trump failed to hire the right people for the CIA. That's why Trump remains in such great danger. He's doing it to himself, though, guys, according to her. And this is the part I don't like about it. And this is what I said before. When you recognize the irregular warfare going on and recognize what the left has done to try to delegitimize Trump, posts like this are helping the enemy more than helping us. They are working to further delegitimize Trump. And then one more thing I want to say. I think that's, here we go. People keep asking me about the anonymous Japanese blogger who helped to save the 2024 election by collecting Dominion's IP addresses and asking for a $15 donation return. That's right. One Japanese anon saved America. Hello, sir. We need your help on AM investigation we are doing on Dominion voting system in Hawaii, Hong Kong. This doesn't prove anything, but that is a DM. Okay, so the one question I had, I was thinking last night more about this story and just some of the illogical inconsistencies, which again, I hope we can answer some of those questions with Patrick Byrne when he comes on to Badlands. If Ash and CanCon don't go deep enough, then I'll see if he'll join me as well. But we do all this talk about the 2020 election, right? So Venezuela, Her claim is that it's in 72 countries and has been for the last 20 years, controlling elections, stealing elections for whoever they want, all these things. Okay. They say that it would have happened again in 2024, but the Three Musketeers stopped it, luckily. But she never talks about 2016. And it's not like Trump wasn't established as an enemy to the establishment at that point. I mean, look at everything they did with the Russiagate stuff prior to the election even happening, fabricating intelligence, all these things. Why did they not steal the election from Trump then? Or did somebody stop that steal? Like, that's one part of the story that they're not even attempting to comment on. And people that, when I posted this on social media, there were responses, and it seemed like a lot of goalpost moving and a lot of speculation. And that's one of the things I'm frustrated with this thread. It's like there's not a single thing I can look in here and say, like, oh, that's a fact. Like, you've shown me something that I can go and verify, or you've said something that I can go and verify and be like, okay, yep, that part is true. I haven't done that yet. But I feel like there's a logic that right there is a logical inconsistency with the whole story. It's like they've been doing it for 20 years, but yet they somehow allowed Trump to get in there in 2016. So did they rig it for Trump in 2016? Is that the implication? And I'm not saying that's the case. I don't know. They don't address it. But that's something that we should be considering here. Like, you're going to talk about 2024, we stopped it. You're going to talk about 2020, they definitely got away with it. What about 2016? And I personally, like, my thoughts on the matter, just an opinion, and I've always stated this, is I think just they still tried their mechanisms of cheating in 2016, whatever they had in place. But it wasn't just machine stuff. It was like an operation. But Trump literally overwhelmed the cheat. And they didn't have it sprawled out far enough to change the results like they wanted. And they still did cheat, though. But he literally overwhelmed it. I think by 2020 and the 2018 midterms, I think they grew their operation extensively. And it's not just in the machines. It's lots of different angles. But yeah, they don't address 2016 or give an explanation for that. And I think that is something they should do. I would have been just fine never hearing about this story. Eric Q. Freeman. I agree. I'm with you. But they are kind of in the zeitgeist now, and people are making a big deal of it. And it's part of the information war. And I think to this point, I do not think it is a pro-Trump op that is being executed here, which is why I am engaging with it, because I'm pointing out some of that stuff. Like, if you're going to come out and tell me that Trump is that incompetent, you're not helping Trump. You're helping the enemy. And I don't think that's okay. That's exactly what Patrick said, that Trump overwhelmed the cheating. But have they shown any evidence that there's, cheating in 2016? Do they have any logs of that? Who else old enough to when Jon also got fixated on Mark Zuckerberg? Yeah, that was funny. Fuck that guy. Pardon my swear jar. Badlands needs to do Beanie Day in mockery of Tim Pool's not acknowledging election cheating 2020. I don't know if I ever want to wear a beanie. Indie Boy is now a monthly supporter. Bro, where you been? Why haven't you been a sub prior? I feel like you have been. Phil Scarborough, why would General Flynn vouch for the story? Is it a white hat op, InfoWar Battlespace? That's the question. I don't know. I can't speak for, but that's a great question. Why is Flynn vouching for the story when it's one that, in my opinion, is attempting to delegitimize Trump? That's a valid question. And we could discuss whether or not you think it's actually trying to delegitimize him, but I mean, look at this post right here. Trump failed. Trump failed. Trump is incompetent. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. And the only way to fix things is if Trump does the things that we recommend. And these are just not logical consistencies when Trump has been the one screaming from the rooftops since before the 2020 election and immediately after the 2016 election about how our elections are fraudulent and how there's cheating and all these issues. The executive order from March of 2017 where he established the Commission on Election Fraud. And he tried to address it then. And he got shut down by a whole bunch of leftist NGOs and secretaries of state. And he rolled all the data that they did accumulate into the Department of Homeland Security, I believe. And then leading up to the 2020 election, he talked about them using COVID to steal the election. Trump has said elections are fraudulent and fake more than probably anybody else on this planet. At least his message of that has reached more people than anybody else for sure. So I don't know. Freedom fighter General Flynn said that there are truths to her posts, but also said she is too emotional in regards to her posts. Yeah, I can get that. I see that. Gut says trust Flynn and not trust Emerald. Calvary 03, the verdict is still out on General Flynn, in my opinion. Is that Oak? It looks like Oak. I believe that is Oak. And you know what? That's the stance we should all have. Like the verdict should be out on all these people. Maybe we should just ignore this until something further happens. Yeah. I mean, we'll get another post tomorrow. I wonder how many posts she's going to do, how long she's going to drag it out. We should take bets on that. But I will move on. I do want to talk about this story from David Sachs, because the New York Times apparently did a hit piece on him being the AI crypto, and he dismissed it as a nothing burger. And I can relate to this a little bit, not because the New York Times has called me the Lord of QAnon or whatever. Separately, like just the theme of this story. Okay. White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs has fired back at the New York Times over a report detailing how his government advisory role could benefit his investments and those of his close associates. Sachs said in a post to X that despite having debunked in detail the Times reporting over the past 5 months, the outlet continued to publish the article on Sunday about his supposed conflicts of interest. And I should just read his actual tweet here. I think this would be worth it. Okay. Inside the New York Times hoax factory. 5 months ago, 5 New York Times reporters were dispatched to create a story about my supposed conflicts of interest working as the White House AI and crypto czar. Through a series of fact checks, they revealed their accusations, which we debunked in detail. Not surprisingly, the published article included only bits and pieces of our responses. Their accusations ranged from a fabricated dinner with a leading tech CEO to non-existent promises of access to the president to baseless claims of influencing defense contracts. So you mean people seeking to interfere with David Sachs' role as the AI crypto czar and maybe delegitimize him in some ways, create a conflict of interest, create a false narrative, use fabricated information, like non-existent promises, baseless accusations? That is crazy that people would do that. It's only something the enemy seems to do. Every time we would prove an accusation false, New York Times pivoted to the next allegation. This is why the story is dragged on for 5 months. Today, they evidently just threw up their hands and published this nothing burger. Anyone who reads the story carefully can see that they strung together a bunch of anecdotes that don't support the headline. And of course, that was the whole point. At no point in their constant goalpost shifting was New York Times willing to update the premise of their story to accept that I have no conflicts of interest to uncover. As it became clear that the New York Times wasn't interested in writing a fair story, I hired the law firm Claire Locke, which specializes in defamation law. I'm attaching Claire Locke's letter to the New York Times so readers have full context on our interactions with New York Times reporters over the past several months. Once you read the letter, it becomes very clear how New York Times willfully mischaracterized or ignored the facts to support their bogus narratives. Misfit Angie, I thought you were a Jason, now you're Lord Q. I can't remember. They keep giving me so many different names NPR said I was QAnon adjacent. New York Times said I was a QAnon promoter. And so I think just naturally the progression here is Lord of Q. I think that's where we're at. Phil Scarborough, I think we probably have no clue as to what's really going on. That is 100%. Joe, perhaps, but so far he's in that gray area. Who are we talking about? QAnon, John. No thanks. But yeah, so these attempts always continue. The left, the mainstream media, they work every angle they can to delegitimize Trump. This is what irregular warfare is, and I feel like I took almost a break, and I didn't really talk about irregular warfare enough, I don't think, and I'm trying to make it a point to talk about it more moving forward because of how prevalent it has become, not just in the mainstream, but even on a personal level. The people who use false, made-up information trying to tear us down. Like, I'm not trying to compare it to what Trump goes through, but it's the same methods used against Trump all the time. And it's the same methods used against just us as a movement all the time. And I think it's important to recognize that stuff and discuss it because that's the only way you take power away from it. These people are retarded. You need to call them retarded and call them out for their BS. But yeah, they're trying to delegitimize him. And I think he's an interesting target of this. He's been a target for a while, but the AI and crypto stuff, I feel like we're on the cusp of some pretty interesting and important moves and decisions when it comes to this. Like AI, obviously the investment stuff. I mean, I just saw today on CNBC, there's multiple. NVIDIA takes $2 billion stake in Synopsys with expanding computing power partnership. OpenAI takes stake in Thrive Holdings to help accelerate enterprise AI adoption. Stocks fall to kick off December as Bitcoin tech stocks decline. It's a little counter to what I just said. There was let me look up something on Twitter quick, because I know Elon Musk had a pretty interesting statement. I should probably go to Poppy G for this one. Hold for processing, guys. Here we go. I just got to find it, because this was a great statement from, here we go. Now, if you've been following Badlands, and especially G Money, as much as the animosity towards him is likely deserved and self-inflicted from G Money, you can't say he was wrong about this. Because when we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about it in the terms of soft war, which is energy. And listen to what Elon says here.
Currencies, if you will, that are physics-based. So energy is the true currency. This is why I said Bitcoin is based on energy. You can't legislate energy. You can't just, pass a law and suddenly have a lot of energy.
Why are there 3 cups on the table for 2 people? Just curious.
It's very difficult to generate energy, especially to harness energy in a useful way to do useful work. So I think that probably we won't have money, and probably we'll just have energy, power generation as the de facto currency.
Power generation as the de facto currency. I think this is a huge statement from him, especially considering his role previously. Whether it was kayfabe or not, doesn't matter. He was very close working with Trump on a daily basis almost for a long time. And you see the immediate push from Trump in domestic energy supply, in the AI infrastructure. A lot of the investments coming from these other countries and other businesses are in those sectors. The kerfuffle with China surrounding the chips manufacturing and the rare earths, that's not all by mistake. I mean, if you read the writing on the wall, the making Bitcoin a strategic reserve, the strategic Bitcoin reserve, and then like a crypto stockpile of everything else, like basically separating that from the rest. What he says here is so important. Like energy being the currency, that's kind of what Bitcoin is. That is what Bitcoin is. And this is the way we've been talking about it, especially G-Money's been talking about it. And, you know, he is who he is. And you like him or you don't. But he's been so over the target with a lot of this stuff, and it's almost scary. 12 Boy, 2 cups placed before Elon got there. Elon brought his own to the table, as he probably should. 2 guys, 3 cups. Is that a thing? Misbehaving Irishman. Flynn is the third rail you don't touch unless you want to get attacked. I'm just watching that one. But the Flynn network are very busy stirring shit up. Why? Burp. And you know what? That's another great question. And if I'm being honest, it's because of the Q community. The Q community, you know, they put Flynn on a pedestal, and like I'm very appreciative of Flynn and his service and what he went through and all that stuff. And I don't think he's a bad guy at all. Again, I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to question Flynn and whether or not he has good intentions. So let's get that out of the way. You can try not to misquote me here or take what I'm saying out of context. But there shouldn't be anybody above being questioned when things are done. Like when they say something, do something, whatever. Like if it's something that causes you pause or gives you like, oh, what are you doing? Like, why are you associating with that guy? Like, really, that guy? I mean, one of 2 things. Either he is like connected to whatever op is going on. That's totally possible. Like part of the plan, whatever. And he's doing it for a reason. Or he's not part of that plan. And then there's a legitimate reason to question that. And we don't know for sure whether he is part of that plan. So you should be able to engage with both sides of that. That's totally fair. But yeah, there are certain people that if you say one thing, you get crucified over. Phil Scarborough, I think there'll be a new dollar at some point backed by American natural resources intertwined with Bitcoin somehow. That'd be interesting. Silver futures are at $59 right now. Hold on. Oh, come on. My ad blocker is being dumb. Hold for processing. I want to find this. Okay, it's just the price right now. Gold is 42.39.43. Silver 58.59. And moving around. It's crazy how quickly that does that. Frank Quarter says Army of Digital Soldiers quote was maybe a bit overemphasized. I mean, it's a great quote. We are the digital soldiers Flynn was talking about. Yeah. I refuse to be accused of being a member of the Q community. John is jealous of Q because he had nothing to do with it. I'm not jealous of Q. Or the Q influencers either. We are the plan. Digital soldiers hold the line. I hear John has a vault filled with silver. Yes, I do. Or no, I don't. That is classified. Let's keep going, though. Witkoff, I do have a couple of headlines I actually want to get to. Witkoff headed to Moscow after Ukraine held tense Miami peace talks. How tense could they really be if they were in Miami, though? U.S. and Ukrainian delegations met for 5 hours in Miami on Sunday to outline a potential peace framework with Russia. Envoy Steve Witkoff will travel to Moscow this week to discuss the updated framework with President Putin. Remember, guys, Witkoff was the guy that they just tried to basically say he was trying to undermine Trump because he was discussing with his counterpart, like, this is what your side should say to Trump to get him to the table. So dumb. The updated proposal documents will reflect revisions discussed with Kyiv and European officials. Territorial concessions and post-war security guarantees remain the central unresolved issues. Which of those are like the issues? So them not being resolved yet kind of means we're maybe not as close to a peace deal as we think. Ukrainian officials said negotiations focused largely on where the future territorial boundary would be drawn, calling the discussions difficult but productive. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said progress was made while cautioning that more work remains. The Ukrainian delegation was led by National Security Council Secretary Rustem Umerov, following the departure of former top aide Andriy Yermak after an anti-corruption raid on his home. Umarov described the talks as successful, while Rubio reiterated that the broader objective extends beyond ending the fighting to securing Ukraine's long-term future. We'll see what happens. We've been on the cusp of peace for so long. Appeals court upholds ruling disqualifying Habba as New Jersey's top prosecutor. Federal appeals court ruled Monday that Alina Habba is unlawfully serving as New Jersey's top federal prosecutor. In a unanimous order, a three-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit affirmed a lower court's decision to disqualify Habba, a longtime Trump loyalist who previously served as the president's personal defense lawyer. The administration may seek review by the full Third Circuit or petition the Supreme Court to take up the case. And I would love to actually see them just skip the circuit and go right to Supreme Court. I want to know why. Here we go. Habba is one of several names who became jammed up in court proceedings over allegations that Trump sidestepped the Senate and improperly exploited loopholes in federal vacancy laws to keep his preferred prosecutors in place. Habba's case was the furthest along in the court process, but Lindsey Halligan and Bill SLE, temporary U.S. attorneys in Virginia and California, respectively, are among those also facing high-stakes court challenges to their appointments. The panel that heard Habba's case comprised two appointees of former President George Bush and one appointee from President Barack Obama. So you could argue all enemies to Trump. The judges voiced skepticism of DOJ lawyer Henry Whitaker's claims that Bondi had authority to fill the vacancy for the U.S. attorney in New Jersey after Trump fired the court-appointed one. Whitaker said the administration simply took advantage of overlapping mechanisms afforded to it by Congress. In this case, the executive branch admittedly took a series of precise and precisely timed steps not to evade or circumvent those mechanisms, but rather to be scrupulously careful to comply with them. One of the judges said during the oral arguments that he viewed Habba's case as unusual and possibly unconstitutional. So dumb. But yeah, we need to have these challenges in court. That's really what's this? New story. Trump administration news. White House meeting on Venezuela-Ukraine talks. Oh, that's not. Hold on. Let me get to the archive version. Whoopsie. Hold on for processing. There's something here about Hegseth. Did you guys see Hegseth's awesome children's book for the holidays this weekend? He posted it yesterday. This is so funny. Franklin targets narco terrorists. That's amazing. Anyway, back to this. Concerns over boat strikes. The meeting comes as lawmakers voice serious concerns over reports of a follow-up strike that killed survivors on an alleged drug vessel in the Caribbean. Trump expressed confidence that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth did not order a second strike. This could be interesting. You know, Congress is like looking for anything they can to go against Trump, even the Republicans. Man, I wonder if they're going to try to use some of these. This might be an impeachment angle for them. I wonder if they'll do it. Because all they need is like 2 or 3 of these principled conservatives to side with the Democrats. And I guess they would still have Johnson, and he wouldn't bring it to the floor. But hey, those midterms, you never know. If we don't stop Venezuela in time for the midterms, we may lose the majority. But this will definitely be an angle. Trump's authority to do the boat strikes themselves. Going to keep tabs on that. We have a couple True Social posts that talks about the ballroom again, how he's funding it, zero cost to the American taxpayer. It's like the same post he's done on that a million times. Talks about a book. I think I read this on Saturday, but I'll read it again here. Or no, I didn't, because this was yesterday. There are laws that impact our nation. Read Title 18, Chapter 115, Section 2387. Whoever with the intent to impair, influence the loyalty, morale, or discipline of the military and naval forces to be fined and imprisoned up to 10 years. Commander Kirk Leopold, U.S. Navy retired. This is right on point. Do what has to be done. Heck yeah. I think he's talking about the seditious 6 again. And here we have a post about the elections in Syria. The United States is very satisfied with the results displayed through hard work and determination in the country of Syria. We are doing everything within our power to make sure the government of Syria continues to do what is intended, which is substantial in order to build a true prosperous country. Okay, not election results, just Syria in general, I guess. One of the things that has helped them greatly was my termination of very strong and biting sanctions. I believe this was truly appreciated by Syria, its leadership, and its people. It is very important that Israel maintain a strong and true dialogue with Syria, and that nothing takes place that will interfere with Syria's evolution into a prosperous state. The new president of Syria, Ahmed al-Shara, former terrorist, is working diligently to make sure good things happen and that both Syria and Israel will have a long and prosperous relationship together. This is a historic opportunity and adds to the success already attained for peace in the Middle East. So there's that. John, if you had one question to ask Trump, what would it be? Oof. I've thought about this so many times, and it changes every time I think about it. Because like some of it depends on like knowing he wouldn't be able to answer truthfully. Like, because a burning question would be like, obviously, did you implement continuity of government or devolution or something? But I know he wouldn't be able to answer that and wouldn't answer that. Even though that'd probably be the question I'd want the answer to the most. So it changes to, it'd probably be something like just right now off the top of my head, more of an explanation of his, 9 NSPMs over the course of the last 10 days or whatever it was. Can you explain why you did that? Or maybe it'd be about Executive Order 13961. I don't know. Changes by the day. Joe Gilmore, if you could ask Tim Pool one question, what would it be? I don't want to add to my swear jar today, so I probably won't answer that comment. Bay Theater Dave, maybe Flynn is creating friction in the narrative. And that's a great point. He totally could be. But if that's what he's doing, like you engage with it, you engage with the friction. And that's what Trump does, right? He's the lightning rod, as Chris says. He sometimes will take both sides of a situation, which an example of that we talked about Saturday that he just did is when he said, hey, I want to bring people in, H-1B, all these things, we need them. Excuse me. And then over the weekend, he's like, I want to shut down all immigration of all kinds. Nobody can come. We're done. Like two complete opposite ends of the spectrum. But he does it to get people to debate the principles of it. Flynn could be doing that same thing, but that doesn't mean he's above questioning. Like if he's taking a stance on something that you disagree with and you find not to be the principled stance, then you argue it. Or you discuss your side of things or whatever. So it's totally possible that's what he's doing. He's trying to, create friction around narratives. But if that's what he wants, then if that's the excuse, if it's the truth, whatever, then the whole point of it is for us to be that friction, right? Phil Scarborough, Poole is coming around to election fraud. He talks about it more openly these days. He's still offensive in douche canoe. Yeah, and that's great, but also like my issue with when he never talked about election fraud and even shut down people talking about election fraud was when it was at its most important point. Like right as it was happening, he may have done it, but like right after everybody else got kicked off the social media platforms, he got to stay on, and he did so to make a bunch of money by not talking about it. That's my issue. And so like now when it's becoming acceptable again, like, okay, now I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm not going to get removed from YouTube. I'm not going to, lose my social status, whatever. Now I'll talk about the things that I couldn't talk about before. Well, everybody else was kicked off the platform. That's the issue. That was an amazing half yawn. You're welcome. I'm like trying to fight it. I'm tired. I was up late last night doing homework, and I was like, I was finding some really good stuff, and so I couldn't stop. I couldn't put my phone down, and I was like sending it into ChatGPT, and like it was just really good. And I ended up before I knew it was like 2:30 in the morning. It's like, oh my gosh! But then I still woke up at like 8. John, if we knew, they'd know. So I need to know that this PSYOP ain't running itself. I'm not sure I fully understand what you're trying to say there. Trump has said he's offered Flynn like 10 different positions. I don't know if I remember him doing that. Joe Gilmore, Tim coming around to election fraud is like a straight guy going to a gay bar and claiming he's bi. That's funny. That was a good one. I don't know if I have anything else. I mean, totally honest. Well, Indiana Republicans unveiled 9-0 congressional map amid redistricting push. It remains unclear whether the legislature will pass the plan, though Trump has urged them to do so. Indiana, this is Thai country. Republicans on Monday unveiled a plan for a new congressional map that would give the GOP an electoral edge in all 9 of the state's congressional districts. I do think the congressional map stuff that they do is stupid. Not a fan. I know the left does it. I know the right does it. Both sides do it. I feel like there's probably a better way. Hassett is likely, or at least betting odds are saying he's going to be the next Fed chair. Trump confirmed that he's made his decision. I know I'm going to pick, he told reporters on Friday. When asked whether he would nominate National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett, the current frontrunner to replace Powell, according to betting markets, Trump smiled and replied, "I'm not going to tell you. We'll be announcing it." Hassett now has a 75% chance on getting the nomination. Once it became clear that the president's getting closer to make a decision, the markets really celebrated. Interest rates went down. We had one of our best treasury auctions ever. So I think Powell's done in, I can't remember if it's March or May. It's one of the M months. I think May. I want to say May. But if I'm wrong on that, then I totally meant March. But him announcing it early, it's not quite the shadow Fed chair that I was hoping for. I hoped he would have done it like 6 months ago, because that would have been even more interesting. But it's still, I feel like, ahead of schedule. But maybe not. I guess, I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention the last time we got a new Fed chair. I don't know what time you normally announce that. So I might have to dig into that a little bit. Let me check if there's anything else interesting. And if not, then I think I'm going to end it. Oh, for those who follow college football, I don't know if you guys saw that Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss for LSU. There's something wrong with the college football schedule and how they do all this stuff, which it really bugs me, because you should never get to a scenario where you have a coach that leaves in the middle of a season heading into the playoffs, like the most important time to have your coach, right? Like all the work you put in over the years to get to a point where you have a team on the cusp of maybe even winning a national title. You're gonna leave at that point, or be able to take a coach away from their team. It shouldn't work like that. And same thing with recruiting. You have people, like players that don't play in the playoffs or the bowl games or whatever. Maybe that's a little more understandable, but something needs to change with the schedule for this not to be able to happen. Like coaches, you shouldn't have the new coaching stuff opened up until the season's done. I feel like that would be logical. But no, it's never like that. They open this up and you have all sorts of coaching changes. But this was obviously a very high profile one. Kiffin obviously wanted to go take a new job, make more money, better resources, better whatever, all the better things for a college football coach. And he said he wanted to coach his team still, but the school wouldn't let him. And it makes sense on all sides why they won't let him. But something's broken about the system when this situation happens. That's all I'm trying to say. Maybe Trump needs to make college football coaching carousel great again. John, regarding Flynn, look at what he did during his 2020 tour. Promoted himself through his movie, waiting for T to possibly go to jail, and then Flynn would swoop in and take T's spot in the election. That's from Shining Sassafras. That's one way to look at it. I don't know if I agree with the framing. But I know people who, like, there are a lot of people who are very anti-Flynn, and I don't think that's justified at all. And on the flip side, there's people that are very like pro-Flynn, like he can do no wrong. I don't think that's justified either. Like I don't think that should be that way for anybody. Like you should approach every one of these things with clear eyes. processing. Okay. Anything else, guys, that you want me to talk about? Otherwise, I am going to probably get on out of here and send you over to Ychromes. Babbage 3, congrats to Badlands for surpassing 7,000 subs on YouTube, and a reminder to turn your ghost calendars to December. Yeah, guys, thank you for the following over there. It's been good to see how many people like to follow on that channel. Hopefully we don't have to switch. Hopefully they allow us to monetize it, but we'll keep you posted on that. Any other closing thoughts, guys? John, who replaced the Fed, or is it the governor chair that is open from the guy that had resigned because of fraud or some criminal act? We had, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Moran, Stephen Moran? Did we talk about Emerald Robinson yet? No. We live in Plato's Cave. Did Trump heckled the media about them saying Cash was being fired? Yeah, there's rumors circulating about that too, and there's stuff that came out about Dan Bongino. Maybe we'll get into that tomorrow. Calvary 03, I believe, it has to do with the recruiting cycle. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree. I think that's broken too, like the whole thing. Badlands Media, thanks for the show and chatter. Yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day. I'm going to send you over to Ychromes right now. Get yourself some soft disclosure, softdisclosure.com. Exciting things coming there too. So stay tuned and enjoy the rest of your Monday. I will see you tonight on Basis Conspiracies at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. You guys have a great rest of your Monday.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
2, 3. Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.